So we might have enjoyed a relaxing holiday break, but I can tell you who didn't: Washington. From new accusations of election interference, to Elon starting a MAGA civil war, to Trump proposing U.S. expansion, there's a lot of political news to get into today.
Yes, we're going to catch you up on everything that you might have missed over the holidays, starting with all the drama in Congress last week. So the Republicans hold one of the slimmest majorities in congressional history, but despite all the odds, Mike Johnson narrowly held on to his position as Speaker of the House.
Yeah, it really seemed like he was going to lose the first round of voting because 3 Republican reps voted against him, but then Johnson mysteriously took them into a back room, called President-elect Trump on the phone, and when they all emerged, 2 of the reps changed their vote to Johnson.
And because of that, Trump's victory was certified on Monday, which was the 4-year anniversary of January 6th. And because of that, the ceremony was pretty intense. The Capitol was on full lockdown. There was like tall black metal fencing and a lot of security.
Yeah, that was crazy to see. The House also passed a rules package, which basically outlines what their priorities are for this session of Congress. And they're fast-tracking bills that will prohibit a moratorium on fracking, elevate fentanyl's substance classification, and completely close the Office of Diversity and Inclusion.
They're also giving schools Title IX protections, which protect students from sexual harassment, only if the school recognizes that there are 2 sexes, male or female, that are identified at birth.
That's definitely going to get some backlash. Also happening now are confirmation hearings for Trump's administration nominees.
And it's about time. It feels like we've been waiting on that for a really long time.
I know, and some of them are so controversial. Like Pete Hegseth was accused of assault and said women shouldn't be in combat roles. RFK, as you know from Newsgirls, has a long history of vaccine skepticism, and Tulsi Gabbard literally met with Bashar al-Assad. So it's unclear if they're even going to win over all the senators in their own party, and they can only afford to lose 3.
And because the confirmations are so high stake and the proceedings are expected to be intense, Trump's chief of staff sent the nominees some interesting orders to completely stop posting on their social media.
Are they allowed to tell them that?
Yeah, I guess they really don't want to take the chances of someone posting something that looks really bad and then that's used against them in the hearings.
And surprisingly, this isn't a response to Elon's latest social media visa ruckus, because the department he'll be heading under Trump, DOJ, isn't an official entity, so it doesn't need Senate confirmation.
Yes, so let's get into all the infighting that's been going on over H-1B visas, which are for skilled foreign workers in specialized fields like business and tech.
For context, H-1Bs allow 65,000 foreign workers to stay in the country, and it's a complete random lottery right now to get one.
So this all started when far-right activist Laura Loomer, who has actually traveled with Trump during his campaign, started criticizing one of Trump's policy advisors, who was born in India, and he basically wanted to make it easier for skilled foreign workers around the world to come to the US. And in this situation, she even described Indians as third world invaders with low IQs.
And this ignited an all-out war in the MAGA world. So Vivek Ramaswamy argued back that we need foreign workers to fuel companies. He said American culture has venerated mediocrity over excellence for too long.
Then, of course, Elon Musk entered the conversation. He actually once had an H-1B visa himself and now uses it to employ thousands of Tesla workers. And he believes that recruiting foreign workers, especially in engineering, is necessary. He even posted, if you want your team to win the championship, you need to recruit top talent wherever they may be.
But then as the infighting intensified, Elon's responses got more and more
aggressive, crazy, unhinged.
Let's go with aggressive. He told one ex-user who challenged him to take a big step back and F yourself in the face. I will go to war on this issue, the likes of which you cannot possibly comprehend. He even liked a post that said Americans are too retarded to fill the country's tech workforce.
Literally, how is that even allowed? And then Steve Bannon, TBT, replied to Musk, someone please notify Child Protective Services, need to do a wellness check on this toddler. So
you know it's bad when Steve Bannon calls you a toddler. So everyone was waiting to see who would Trump side with, and he ended up making a statement. I've always liked these visas. I have many H-1B visas on my properties. But that confused people because Trump actually mainly has H-2B visas, which are for what's considered less skilled workers like gardeners or housekeepers. So it's unclear who at his hotels would even need an H-1B.
Yeah, there are some inconsistencies on his position on the whole thing, because when he was campaigning in 2016, he was against the H-1B program and said that it was, quote, very bad for workers and that we should end it. But on a June episode of the All In podcast, Trump said,
what I want to do and what I will do is you graduate from a college, I think you should get automatically, as part of your diploma, a green card to be able to stay in this country.
Which sent shockwaves through his party and the tech world.
So that means for this visa debate, it's Trump, Elon, and Vivek versus OG MAGA, Loomer, Bannon, and a surprising ally, Bernie Sanders.
Yes. So Bernie said Elon Musk is wrong. The main function of the H-1B visa program is to replace good-paying American jobs with low-wage indentured servants from abroad. The cheaper the labor they hire, the more money the billionaires make.
So Bernie sided with MAGA? Like, this is one of those examples of going so far left and so far right that you end up in the same place.
And this whole saga is a great example of just how powerful Elon's posts are. Just like his ex-post about a funding bill almost caused a government shutdown a couple weeks ago, but we don't even have the time to get into that right now.
But we're not done with the Trump dates, because he's been truth socialing up a storm about expanding U.S. territory. Like, it's unclear if this is a joke or not, but it started with Greenland.
Yes, he has wanted to buy it since 2019, and I guess hasn't let go of the idea. Trump posted that ownership and control of Greenland is an absolute necessity for U.S. national security. And Greenland is an autonomous Arctic territory of Denmark. And of course, in response to his post, neither the Prime Minister of Greenland or Denmark were on board with this idea.
Fair enough. But we can assume Trump is interested because Greenland is actually strategically important for the United States. It lies on the shortest route from North America to Europe. We actually have a military base there. And Greenland has oil and major mineral reserves. And the Washington Post estimates that if the island were for sale, it would cost $1.7 trillion.
But it's not. And actually, the Danish government announced a huge boost in defense spending for Greenland hours after Trump's post.
Trump made headlines again when he posted a bizarre Christmas Day message. So he said, "Wishing a Merry Christmas to all, including the wonderful soldiers of China who are lovingly but illegally operating the Panama Canal." So presumably he said this because China has been investing a lot in the region and the two countries are close allies. But in response, the Panamanian president said Trump's accusation is nonsense and that there's not a single Chinese soldier in the canal.
Yes, so Trump wants to buy the Panama Canal.
The fees being charged by Panama are ridiculous, especially knowing the extraordinary generosity that has been bestowed to Panama, I say very foolishly, by the United States.
So he obviously is saying that Panama charges too high of rates for crossing, which a lot of experts actually agree with. And the canal was actually originally created by the U.S. and then given to Panama. And now it's critical for the U.S., especially for trade with Asia. But Trump is posting that if Panama doesn't operate in good faith, the U.S. will demand that the Panama Canal be returned to us in full, quickly, and without question.
And even though Panama says its independence is non-negotiable, Trump refuses to back down, replying, "We'll see about that," and posting a picture of the canal with the caption, "Welcome to the United States Canal."
Cute.
On a more serious note, I'm sure we're all aware of the horrific terror attack that killed 14 people in New Orleans on New Year's Day. The suspect was an American Army vet who lived in Texas and carried an ISIS flag with him.
And all of this information on his background wasn't immediately unveiled. So in the meantime, when everyone was speculating, things got a little crazy and misinformation started to run rampant.
So we're hearing that the vehicle was traced to coming across from Mexico into the United States at Eagle Pass, Texas, 2 days ago. To be clear, we don't 100% know that this man, and we do know the suspect is a man, was the person driving that crossed the border.
So right after this Fox report, Trump and some Republicans took to social media and started to blame migrants and the border for the attack.
Trump posted on Truth Social, "When I said that the criminals coming in are far worse than the criminals we have in our country, that statement was constantly refuted by Democrats and the fake news media, but it turned out to be true." Well, no, it didn't, at least not in this case, because the suspect was born in the U.S. and used a rental car.
And it was concerning to see the hate-fueled speech about migrants that caught fire because it was based off of literal misinformation. But regardless, this attack was a horrific incident, and we are sending our thoughts and love to the affected families.
Shifting gears to Biden, the Treasury Department announced new sanctions against Iranian and Russian entities for trying to interfere in the 2024 election. I guess they used AI to spread false information.
The intelligence community assessed that while Iran was probably trying to aid Harris, Russia was trying to aid Trump. And all in all, these sanctions are against minor entities. They're not against like all of Iran or all of Russia. So there aren't expected to be huge economic or geopolitical effects. But what this does show is that there is a quickly deteriorating relationship between US and its two major adversaries.
The sanctions surprisingly didn't target China, even though U.S. intelligence has also pinpointed they tried to interfere in the election. So with only a couple weeks left in Biden's presidency, he is racing to hit everything on his checklist, including a couple historic trips.
Yes, like to Angola, where he pledged $1 billion in humanitarian assistance to 31 African countries. He also went to the Amazon rainforest, which is the first time that a U.S. president has ever been.
I'm so shocked no president's ever been to the Amazon rainforest.
I know, I would have thought that someone would have made the trip by now, but he is the first, and there he pledged billions to help countries around the Amazon against climate change. But we'll see if any of this money makes it out the door, because it's basically up to Trump now.
Biden also commuted the sentences of 1,500 Americans in one day, which is a single-day record.
Earlier this week, he also commuted the sentences of 37 of the 40 people who are on federal death row to life without parole.
And he signed likely his last piece of major legislation, which is the Social Security Fairness Act, which opens up full Social Security benefits to 3 million public sector workers who previously only got partial benefits.
Biden, to protect federal waters, also ban new offshore oil and gas developments along most U.S. coastlines. And again, it'll be interesting to see what happens, because Trump has vowed to boost domestic energy production and reverse Biden's conservation efforts.
Biden has clearly taken a public step back lately, but we will actually see him today when he gives Carter's eulogy.
Trump is also planning on attending the funeral, and this is interesting. Since U.S. code mandates that flags be flown at half staff for 30 days following a president's death, the flag will be at half staff for Trump's inauguration, which he is obviously not happy about.
No, he posted, "The Democrats are all giddy about our magnificent American flag potentially being at half-mast during my inauguration. No one wants to see this, and no American can be happy about it." I think he means half-staff, since half-mast only applies to flags on boats.
Oh, well, he needs a Newsgirls fact check on that Truth Social post. A couple things to look out for this week. So the Supreme Court is going to be hearing arguments for the looming TikTok ban starting tomorrow.
Also tomorrow, Trump will be sentenced in the hush money case, allegedly paying Stormy Daniels before the 2016 election, even though he is expected to challenge it. But the judge has said he will not be giving Trump jail time. But this means Trump will officially be a convicted felon when he takes office on the 20th, because under New York law, you're not a felon until you're sentenced.
And that's not to be confused with Trump's appeal in his sexual abuse case with E. Jean Carroll. The federal appeals court last week upheld his $5 million verdict.
And now you're all caught up.